Hi everybody, it's me, GhostCritic. It's Friday. It's time for my thoughts, opinions and reviews on this week's stack of comics that I picked up on Wednesday. So if you watch my pull list video on Wednesday, you'll already know what I'm about to be talking about. I love my comics this week, but no comic, at the moment anyway, is ever perfect. So there's always some kind of niggling little things that I need to talk about. So I'm going to crack on, starting with a comic that's been out for a few weeks now, but I kind of missed out on it. My comic book store didn't order any comics in, so I had to order and just kind of wait till it got in. That was from Boom Studios. It was a Memetic issue 1. So because it's been out so long, I'm going to be short and sweet with this. I didn't love it, but it was a great fun read. Now the problem why I didn't love it was that I didn't think the writer, James Tynion, really knew what he wanted this to be, because it seems to be a mishmash of a lot of different kind of genres and themes, and it didn't kind of stick with one and just go with it. There is of course the kind of horror element of it. If you've seen the movie The Crazies, whether it's the original or the remake with Timothy Oliphant in it, you have this town that has been affected by a meme. There's a whole kind of conspiracy kind of vibe to it, an end of the world apocalypse kind of theme going, and you kind of get the feeling that James Tynion is kind of satirising and pointing out the kind of social media aspect of our lives, the way these kind of viral videos and memes just go worldwide and kind of really affect our kind of everyday life, which is quite ironic, you know, given the kind of the digitalness of the internet compared to this bit of paper, bit of card on the front. So it's not that I struggled with it. Like I said, it was fun. It's only going to be 3 issues, so this is going to kind of be, I guess, wrapped up quite easily. Obviously, I'm a bit confused about, you know, why would you create a meme that, you know, affects people to the point where after however many hours of seeing this, or days or something, that they turn into these crazed killers. And this isn't just set in one town, like I said, it's worldwide. So, you know, millions upon millions upon millions of people are seeing this, and I guess will eventually destroy their cities, their towns, and the people around them. So I'm sure that will be explained as the next 2 issues go on. It's only 3 issues, so I'm on board with it till the end. Grendel versus the Shadow, book 3 comes to a close in this kind of 3-issue mini-series, in this prestige, larger, more pages packed edition. And while I've always said, you know, it's nice to have Grendel back on the shelves because he is a great character and has been used so well by Matt Wagner in you know, previous incarnations and volumes of the Grendel character. However, by the end of reading this, I just felt a lot of stuff here really didn't gel. And I think partly of the reason for this was that there was a lot of filler in these issues. In this issue particularly, we have the kind of love interest with Margot and the Shadow, which seemed kind of superfluous to the storyline. She suddenly comes into a great deal of money and decides being kind of the Shadow's partner in crime, so to speak, is just not for her. So she's going to, you know, travel the world with this newly found fortune. But deep down, she just wants the Shadow to turn around and go, I love you, please stay with me. There's also the kind of the foiled bank robbery scenes, which it's all well and good having them there, but then to have the exposition straight after it, letting us know that the Shadow is forwarding all their kind of little crime wave through the city, is just, again, superfluous. There's no need for it. Show us one or the other. So I felt there was a lot of padding out, making this something more than it actually was. I always find when you put two large characters such as these up against each other, that the story can only really go one place. Neither of them are going to win and neither of them are going to lose. It's going to be very much a stalemate, but at least I felt Matt Wagner didn't go down the road where it was like our two main characters fought and then by the end teamed up, kind of like the Marvel team-ups of yesteryear. Like I said, it was nice to have that glimpse of Grendel back. The end was a bit iffy. If you've been reading this or if you've got any thoughts of picking this up, the premise was that Grendel came from the present into the past, into Shadow's world. And he took on again the persona of Hunter Rose. He wrote a book. He affected a lot of what went on in that time era. But for some reason, when he came back to the present, that was all wiped out. Nothing of that ever happened. And it's not, well, it's not explained at all. It's not really explained. It's not explained at all. And that kind of left a little kind of bad taste in my mouth right at the very end. Guardians 3000, I thought I'd try and pick up issue 2 and see if I liked it as much as I did the first. And while it still has all those kind of funny quips, the future talk that, you know, can be a little confusing, but it adds a sense of style and era of a future world where they will possibly speak differently to what we do now. It's hugely action-packed again, but the problem with this is it retreads a great deal of issue 1. We've already kind of been explained that we're in a kind of Groundhog War scenario here, where our main characters of the Guardians of the Galaxy are replaying a kind of war between them and the Badoon. And even though there are slight differences, like the makeup of the characters, one of the characters in one of the days is female and then male the next. So for 75% of this book, we're doing it again from issue 1. And I said, while it's fun, it's action-packed, it's got that great comic booky art going on in it, just like, come on, let's move this story along. And then when they finally kind of break out of the Groundhog cycle and they manage to get themselves off this planet, we have more exposition of what we've already been told. That our kind of main kind of human character that all this kind of linchpins on, we have to trust her. She's going to lead us to how we're going to solve all this. How, we don't know, because she's not kind of superpowered or anything. She just appears to be a normal human being. But that's the rest of the comic, and that's it. We're done. We just need to push this forward a bit more to make it more interesting, more exciting for the reader to you know, grab hold of and enjoy and get some story progression. Moving on to our weekly look at Batman Eternal issue 32, and in this issue Hush is out to ruin Batman's reputation. Now, I'm a bit kind of iffy with this in the sense that, you know, he already has this kind of vigilante, the police are against him reputation, so is whatever Hush is going to do in this issue going to push it any further? And of course, in kind of Hush style, it's got to be in the most convoluted way possible. Hush has discovered from his infiltration into the Batcave when he drugged and kidnapped Alfred, that Batman has these kind of weapon bunkers hidden underground beneath Gotham. And he is basically going to set one of them off, explode them in a heavily populated area, and blame Batman for it. I'm sure with the weapon, I'm sure Hush has a weaponry that he can use of his own without having to use Batman's weapon stash. And the fact that, you know, towards the end you have someone, you know, buried under rubble, and there is just this conveniently placed Batarang very near. What, just one Batarang just lying there is going to point the finger that this is all Batman's fault, so let's all hate on Batman. It was just a little bit too kind of obvious and subtle, not clever enough. I think Snyder's grasping as we go halfway through this Batman Eternal run. We did have a little kind of spoiler trying to fight against Hush. And while she gives him a good knock around, she is never going to be good enough. But she does the old Batman trick where, you know, someone's talking to her and suddenly she's disappeared. And she does it to Batman, no less. Right back at you, Bats. It was okay. It was just another okay issue of Batman Eternal. We have Alfred and his daughter reunited. Despite the fact that he's gone and sent to rest and had this kind of medicine to stop the kind of fear toxin going through, he seemed very coherent and okay when he met his daughter again. So the need for the antitoxin, really, was it necessary? We find Batwing has survived. Whether that is a shame or not, I don't know. I don't really collect. Oh, well, I don't collect Batwing. I have no real investment in that character. Will Batman Eternal ever see any kind of, you know, withstanding deaths that will stick, that are poignant, that are meaningful? Who knows? It could have been Batwing, but no, he's still alive. Okay issue of Batman Eternal again. We've got the second issue of Thor here. Again, like with Guardians 3000, I thought I'd give the second issue a go. I like the idea of this female Thor, and we certainly see a lot of her in this issue. It's far too soon for the reveal of who is under the kind of the helmet, but there are kind of clues, I guess, as to you know, who it possibly isn't really. I like this issue a lot. There were so many nice touches that Aaron put in there, especially when our female Thor is talking. When she's talking out loud, it is got that Thor Asgardian tone to it. It's all thys and these. But when she's talking in her head to herself, it's human. That's interesting. Whether this is done on purpose and this person is not of Asgardian descent perhaps and is just a normal human being. It could be someone that, you know, is just like one of us. I don't know. It certainly has made me want to continue with Thor and at least find out who it is. I love the use of the hammer, the way that our female Thor is learning to use it, what she can do with it. Though at times I did feel this is more about the hammer than the actual person. And I was so glad that right at the very end of it, she loses it. Just as the Frost Giants and is it Malekith turns up at the doors of Roxxon Industries, and she's there without her hammer, and she poses the question to herself, just as I was going to. What is she without the hammer? What can she actually do? So I'm kind of excited now for issue 3 to see how she will get out of this predicament, what she will use to take down or even just escape this scenario. Good stuff, I'm liking it. Batman issue 36, and it's the second part of Snyder's next big kind of epic storyline, Endgame. And here Batman takes on the Jokerized Superman. And just as before in the last issue when he took down the rest of the Justice League, Batman has all these nifty little gadgets, tricks, contingencies to at least give him a fighting chance against Superman. So you have his kind of iron gloves that have got the fragments of red suns in the knuckles, so red sun weakens and can hurt Superman. We have his, what was it, a plasma shield on his suit that can deflect Superman's heat vision. And then we've got kryptonite bubblegum. Well, it all ends, you know, all very well, you know, he takes down Superman, the whole Justice League get taken to some, I don't know, medical facility so they can flush out the Joker toxin and they can all be alright and everything seems fine and dandy, and then Batman starts investigating into where the Joker could possibly be. And of course that leads him to Arkham Asylum. This is after the collapse. And I have to say I'm surprised at how intact parts of Arkham Asylum still are, given the devastation that we've seen over in Batman Eternal. A lot of the cells, a lot of the path, the alleyway, not the alleyways, the kind of corridors seem very well intact. Good job to rebuilding an underground Arkham Asylum. The motif of the spiders and the flies and the cobwebs was a little bit obvious. This is clearly going to be a trap here. You know, the spider and the fly catching it in its web. And we have one of the doctors, physicians of Arkham Asylum just happens to be down there as well. But of course the reveal here is again just a tad bit too obvious. I picked up on it very, very quickly. I'm going to spoil it now. If you've not read Batman 36, forward this on until you get to the next issue. You can see a new comic on. But it is, of course, the Joker. And while it's great to see him back, it does make me think, and it goes back to, you know, Batman having all these contingencies, you know, to take down the Justice League if he has to. He has all these tricks and gadgets to take down the villains, like we saw in the collapse of Arkham Asylum when he took down Clayface and Mr. Freeze with all his gadgets. Why does he not have a contingency for the Joker? Is it just because he is just that chaotic and unpredictable? Joker uses another strain of some sort of paralysing toxin. You would think Batman has injected himself with so many anti-drugs, anti-toxins, that he would be immune to everything Joker could put against him. But, you know, we have to have Batman in a kind of seemingly inescapable predicament, and we have it here. I'm not saying I didn't like this. It was fun. It was a kind of mainstream Batman, you know, very nicely drawn as usual by Greg Capullo. The story goes on a pace that's, you know, good and helpful and pushes it forward fast enough, doesn't drag any. But there were just moments in it that were just too pat, too obvious, and I needed just something a little bit more clever. Alex and Ada, issue 10. Haven't really got a lot to say about this, apart from the fact it was beautiful. It was so marvellously written by Jonathan Luna here. It was heartfelt, it was emotional, it felt real, despite the fact that this, you know, is partially a story about robots. It felt human. Ada having gained sentience, and Jonathan Luna's push on the story that what is it to be a human? How does someone who has not been human cope with all the kind of trials and tribulations of being human. In this issue, Alex has to choose between the two women in his lives, his ex-girlfriend and his sentient robot Ada, who there is a connection with. Especially now she is not just merely a robot and doing things at Alex's command. And towards the end of this, once the decision has been made, everything seems to be so resolved and everything feels right. But of course, there is that danger looming in the near future. We already have this kind of Robot Act that's come into force, where if you know that there's a sentient robot in your area, that it needs to be put down, that these are dangerous. And of course, our little altercation in the last issue with police officers and our 3 sentient robots that were taking a trip around DC, a little visiting tour, it has been captured on camera, and clearly we can see Ada's face. So it's not looking too good. Is this going to be one of those stories that, you know, has a very unhappy ending? I've loved this. It's slow and methodical, but in a good way. Luna has really made us care about the characters, and especially with Ada, who normally we wouldn't, because she's a robot that shouldn't have feelings, that shouldn't be, you know, an attractable character to invest your time in and your feelings and your sympathies, but he does it. Penultimate issue of the week is the Fade Out issue 3, and Brubaker continues to expand his 40s Hollywood crime noir story he has going here. We learn a lot about the kind of younger Mr. Thursby, the founder of this film company, and his much more closer connections to Brodsky, who's his head of security. Most of the issue, though, is based on our new character Maya, who is this kind of wannabe actress, upcoming film star, who is there to take the place of Valeria, who was the murdered starlet from the first issue. And the thing I love most about this series is Brubaker's kind of David Lynchian approach to this title. If any of you have seen Mulholland Drive, you can clearly see the comparisons going on here. David Lynch likes to kind of portray at first this very kind of happy, shiny idea of America. Here we have this kind of shiny glitz of the Hollywood movie style of the 40s. But when you scratch a little bit beneath the surface, out erupts all these lies, the deceit, and let's put it this way, the depravity. So I especially love that. Once again, Brubaker kind of evokes the whole era. He has the style down. He's done his homework on what people would look like. It's a very unnerving issue. The way that Thursby has all these kind of secret passages within his movie compound, so to speak, and can just kind of appear in dressing rooms, obviously female dressing rooms. The way that Maya, you know, has to kind of compromise a lot of her morals, but by the end of the issue you kind of feel that she probably isn't as naive or even as innocent as she makes out to be. So all that wrapped up in this just makes Fade Out issue 3 just another great issue. I'm 100% on board with. I believe we're on hiatus now until the end of January. But it'll be worth the wait, I'm sure. Finally, it's Witches issue 2, Scott Snyder's new Image creator-owned title, and here Snyder continues to kind of play on the whole horror movie genre, and he does it to great effect. Really enjoyed this issue. In the first issue we had the kind of prologue, we had the setup, introducing all the characters, and there was just enough kind of horror, our movie monster, to whet our appetite. In issue 2 we have our kind of family trying to kind of play out a semblance of a normal life, but you have that evil that seeps into their lives gradually throughout the issue, and it just kind of culminates and grows the tension. As the issue goes on, we get the danger looming, or the revelations that happen within this story, not just for our kind of young female character Sailor, but also we find out about the mother's past, why she's in a wheelchair, and her father, an unexpected visitor at the house by the end of this that could rip his family apart. I can't leave without mentioning obviously Jock and Hollingsworth artwork in here. It is fantastic, and it certainly evokes this kind of nightmarish lives that they're living through. It just adds to like the fear and the tension of this book. I'd wholeheartedly tell you to pick this up if you are very much into the horror genre and love the horror movies. This is certainly should be a pickup for you. Okay, that's me done for the week. I'm sorry if there's been some kind of background noise at the bottom of the street. There's some roadworks going on. I don't know if you can hear that or not. I hope it didn't put off your listening to me. But that's it for my comics this week. Like I said, they were all great comics, or, you know, they were all fun comics. They just had little bits, for the most part, that, you know, I had to have a little bit of a niggle about. Thank you for watching until now. If this is your first time here and you've liked what you've heard and saw, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more of my videos. Give this video a big thumbs up, and let me know what you thought about my thoughts of the comics this week down in the comments section below. Until we get another stack of comics on Wednesday and my thoughts and reviews on Friday, have a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed your books. Take care.